Good morning, Facebook. Today is it's a big day because over the Thanksgiving holiday, I really took a look at a lot of stuff, and you know, every investor is always wondering what the next crash is going to be. Not just because, as an investor, you want to avoid that crash, but because you know, if you're an investor, that crashes are where fortunes are made and lost, and you want to be on the right side of that coin. So every investor is always looking for what's the next crash and when is it going to happen. It's always difficult to predict, but there are a few things that are leading us right down the path of a crash in a particular market, and the ripple effects, I think, could be huge. So if I'm right about this, this will be the best 15 minutes of time that you spend maybe in your life. If I'm wrong, then I'm going to give you no advice that will not protect you from potentially losing money if I am right or even partially right. So here's the thing. You not only need to know what is going to cause the crash, but you need to know when, and you need to know how to make money from it. So I'm going to go over all of those things today. I'm going to show you some examples on my computer, and I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm doing personally, which has been working extremely well recently, and I think it will continue to work extremely well. So what's going to cause the next crash? A lot of people assume that it has to be real estate. But that's only because the short-term memory that we have that that's what caused the last crash was real estate. But it really wasn't real estate that caused the last crash. It was Wall Street that caused the last crash. They used real estate as their tool that they beat the hell out of, but that was what caused the crash, was Wall Street getting their grubby hands on real estate in ways that no one had ever thought that they could, but they did. So that caused the last crash. What was the one before that? Oh, the point is, it's unlikely that real estate will actually cause the next crash. In fact, I don't really think real estate will be affected in a major way. In a major way. It'll be affected in a minor way, but not in a major way by this impending crash. The one before that was 9/11, September 11th. There was a major stock market crash after September 11th. If you were an investor in that time, in 2001, then you would know about it. If you were in the real estate or mortgage business, you remember that rates went extremely low very quickly as a result of that crash. What was the one before that? Because terrorism is always a risk. At any point in time, if a terrorist sets off a nuclear bomb somewhere, people will get scared, they'll get worried, they'll want to collect their money from their computer screen and put it in their pocketbook, and that could cause a run on the banks and other things. So that's always a risk, but we can't really predict when that's going to happen, so we kind of have to table that one. So not real estate, we can't really think terrorism. Our country's done such a great job since then of protecting us. What's the next one? The next one back is, and few people will remember this, the dot-com bubble. The dot-com bubble is a very interesting one because as it was happening, and this is late 90s, right around 2000 is when this was happening. And it was an interesting marketplace because everyone understood that the internet was going to be huge. This internet thing makes so much sense. The internet, oh my gosh, the internet. And the appetite for investors to buy into the internet was so healthy that people were creating companies, securitizing them, going public with them, just on a website alone. We have a website. Our website is this. It's going to be huge. And that was literally the only thing the company had. They didn't have any revenues. They didn't have you know, any prospects. Sorry, I screwed up one of my graphs. I'm going to show you here in a second. They didn't have anything other than a website and a company name. But people were buying it because they knew that it made sense and that it was going to be huge. And they wanted a piece of it. And so these companies went public and they were pennies on the dollar. And so people were buying these stocks and they were going up and people made fortunes. But the problem was, and the reason why it crashed, is because we didn't quite understand it. We didn't quite understand what the internet was or how people were going to make money from it. We didn't quite understand what it meant to have a website or how people were still going to have to market it. Now, this may sound crazy now, but back then, people didn't understand that you still had to do marketing. They thought that because it was on the World Wide Web and anyone in the world could see it, that they would. But that's not necessarily true now, is it? What's really interesting is how we have a market that's building right now almost the exact same way that the dot-com bubble was built. And I have something very interesting to show you that will help you understand where I'm coming from with that. Jade, let's go to the computer. This is the NASDAQ, okay? That's what you're looking at here is a graph of the NASDAQ from 1992 to January 1st, 2000. Now, if you look at this, and NASDAQ obviously represents technology, and it was the biggest holder of companies or representation of companies that were involved in the dot-com bubble. As you can see here, it was steadily rising. You know, back in the early 90s, the NASDAQ technology is awesome, yay, but that's pretty steady. I mean, this is years here. You're seeing it pretty much stay in the same place. And then we see a rise in the mid-90s as people even start talking about the internet. And then it just goes absolutely nuts towards the end of the 90s, as you see here from about 1998, summer 1998, all the way up until January 1st, 2000, when it reached its then peak, which it's now made back, which was about 4,700 on the NASDAQ. That is what it looked like when we didn't know what was going to happen next. This is what the graph of the internet or the investor's representation of the internet looked like prior to people figuring out that it wasn't what we thought it was and that we didn't quite understand it and that it didn't make sense. And everyone who wanted in was already in and there was no one else to buy at those super high prices that didn't make sense. Now, let me show you another graph, which is representation of what I believe to be what's going to cause the next crash. Look familiar? Does this not look like the graph we just looked at? Almost identical? Let me show you. That's that one. That's the dot-com bubble. That one is Bitcoin to US dollar. Now, when I say Bitcoin, this is just a graph of Bitcoin. You can look at the cryptocurrency market across the board in many ways. It is the exact same situation. It is a technology that we don't quite understand. I mean, do you understand what blockchain is? Do you understand even why there's a need to have this currency that's not managed or backed by a government? And in the United States, I don't think we really even understand at all why it exists, much less why it's gone up so much. If you invested $100 in Bitcoin about 10 years ago and actually bought Bitcoins when they were pennies on the dollar, you would have hundreds of millions of dollars today. Does that make any sense? Where's all that money coming from? How is it that people are able to get so rich on this? Well, it's because the demand is so high. And part of what has propelled this investment momentum, and by the way, I'm not saying you shouldn't invest in this yet either. Don't assume what I'm going to say next. I've got some bombs to drop. This particular situation is very indicative of the dot-com bubble. It feels the same, it looks the same, and the price action is the same. Because what happens is when momentum, which is an investor's friend, takes control of a marketplace, tons of money can be made, and it makes no sense to fight it. If you're an investor, why would you fight it? Why would you piss into the wind, as we say back home? Bad idea. Turn around, go the other direction. Point your body in the other direction. And that's exactly what all investors are doing right now. Why wouldn't you? Everyone wants into this thing. Everyone wants into this thing. When you're sitting, when I'm back in Missouri, sitting at Country Kitchen, and I hear people talking about investing in Bitcoin, when I'm on the plane, I hear people talking about investing in Bitcoin. It's the exact same thing that was happening during the dot-com bubble. It's something we don't understand yet. We do know that there's something here. There is something here. But as it stands right now, demand has exceeded supply dramatically. And what has happened is everyone wants to buy. Why would you sell? I'm invested in multiple Bitcoin-related stocks that go up every single day. Why would I sell? You don't. It's similar to some of the things that have been happening in the local real estate market. So here is the big thing. So now you know what the market is that's going to cause this. There's going to be a massive wealth suck out of the cryptocurrency market. Because keep in mind, it's not just Bitcoin. Look at all the things that have cascaded. In the dot-com bubble, it was the internet that people wanted to invest in. Now it's Bitcoin that people want to invest in, but all these other cryptocurrencies, just like all these other websites, are showing up. And you can't, buying a Bitcoin is $9,900. People don't want to buy one Bitcoin for $9,900. So what do they look for? They look for, oh, here's the newest cryptocurrency. It's 0.2 of a cent. I'll put $5,000 into that. And you know what? They'll probably make money on it, at least for now. So what I'm telling you is this. It's okay to be long this stuff, and I'm going to tell you what I'm invested in. In fact, actually, I'm going to post exactly what I'm invested in after the fact, because I don't want you to worry about looking it up now. You can look it up after the video is over. What I'm going to tell you, I'm going to put in the comments below what I've invested in as far as Bitcoin is concerned. There are a couple of stocks that I do think make sense for the meantime. For the meantime. Because here's the big thing, and this is, so when? When is this going to happen? Currently, we're in the second longest bull market in history, as far as stocks are concerned. Second longest in history. And it makes sense why that's the case. It does. But all bull markets come to an end. Now, if we're going to break the all-time record for the longest bull market in the history, in recorded history of the stock market, we have 9 months from now to get there. I do believe that there's enough momentum in the stock market, in stocks, in securities, in cryptocurrencies to take us all the way there to that 9-month period. Especially this month in December, as you all know, who are investors, the Santa Claus rally is in full effect. And stocks usually go higher in December. You can almost count on it. And they take a breather in January. It's very simple stuff. If you're a trader, you've ever traded the markets, you know that, you follow it. If you're a regular investor, no big deal. Don't even look at it. We're going to talk about the difference between investing and trading shortly. I'm going to tell you how to make money on all this stuff. So bear with me. The most important thing to understand is that if we do make it to 9 months, it won't be much longer after that. We're going to make that record because remember, the guys who are going to make millions, and some of them billions probably, off of the average everyday investors, they want all of y'all in. They don't want any of you still waiting on the sidelines. And a headline that says longest bull market in the history, in recorded history, on the front page of the New York Times is exactly what they think will draw the last few of you in so that you can buy and they can sell what they have right to you there at the top. So I believe that the bulls are going to run this thing all the way to the new record, and it'll be very shortly after that, at most a few months, probably a few weeks, at most a few months, so that you're all in and you're another record, the record bull market extends, the record bull market extends, and then everybody finally says, okay, I'm in. And then they say, all right, we're out. And that is when we start to see this thing move south. When that happens, and I do believe it will be led by Bitcoin, once the buyers dry up, once everyone who's talking about it on the plane and in Country Kitchen in Middle America has already bought in, and everyone's just sitting here every day looking, here, let me look at the stocks. Let me look at the ones that I have. Actually, I'm going to share this post real quick, but I'm going to look at the ones that I own and tell you how much those are up today. Percentage-wise, yeah. So they're both up 17%. Again. I mean, it's crazy. But until everyone is in the same position I'm in, where you're just looking at it every day, watching it go up, all right, where are all the buyers? That's when it'll come in, and when it comes in, it's going to come in very hard. And the reason why it's going to come in very hard is the same reason that it did during the dot-com bubble, because everyone's invested in it, and the people who are invested in it early, like myself, I can wait until it comes in a few days before I sell and still make a profit. But everyone who bought up at that high mark, what are they going to do? They're going to buy more. Because they say, oh, I bought it at 1,000. I'll buy it more at 800. And then it's down to 600. I'm already out. And you're in there buying because you never made your money. And that's what causes markets to crash, and that's what causes people to lose a lot of money. So here's what we're going to do. So 9 months from now, we got 9 months. So first of all, to make money, you probably want a piece of this action. You probably do. It's just too sweet. It's just too sweet not to be involved in some fashion. Now, the money that you're playing with in this cryptocurrency world, in this Bitcoin world, is play money. This is money that you could set on fire. This is money that you could flush down the toilet. Do not put anything that you really care, any money that you really care about. This is extremely speculative. But with those high risks come the potential for high returns, which is also why you don't need to put a lot of money into it. But I do believe that we have about 9 more months of run here. So I'm going to give you a couple different stocks. I'm going to post them below after the fact. As soon as the segment's over, I'm post them below so you can take a look at them. I'll tell you what I'm invested in, when I'm invested in them, so how much I have into it. And I'd say play the momentum. That's what smart investors do, play the momentum. The momentum is something like, I've never even seen momentum like this except for the dot-com bubble. As far as your regular retirement investments are concerned, if you have been playing that game properly, if you are invested in the market, if you have mutual funds, if you are invested in the IVV or the Dow or the S&P in some fashion, which you should be, this is a time where it makes sense to really take a look at your allocation. Make sure that you have 15 to 20% of your portfolio in cash. Because when this thing comes in, you want to be able to buy. And you want to be able to buy heavy. And it's okay to trim off some profits. We're up so much. I mean, this bull market started in early 2009. We're almost 9 years into a straight up bull market. 9 years. So it's okay. It's okay to trim a little off the top. You know, if you've watched your investments grow from 50,000 to 100,000, it's okay. Go ahead and sell $20,000 worth and just put it in the cash reserves account that you have and have it there ready so that you can pull the trigger when this thing comes in. So take some profits now. All right. Now we're going to talk about a little bit about trading. So when I'm talking about, you know, setting cash aside and then deploying that when the market comes in, that's what we call dollar cost averaging, right? That's where you're buying it lower, using your retirement assets. You don't need them for years, maybe decades. You're going ahead and you're buying that stuff because you want to get it while it's on sale. That's investing, long term. You don't care if it keeps going down. In fact, when you're an investor, you love it when it goes down. For my investment portfolio, the market goes down, great. Every month I'm buying the same dollar amount into the IVV, which is what I like. Buy into that thing every month. I'm getting more shares when it's cheaper. And when it's higher, when it goes up, I'm in the green. I've made money. There's no way to lose. So investing is simple. That's what that is. Now I want to talk about trading. Because when this thing does move, and like I said, we're probably 9 months to a year out of that happening. When it does, there's going to be a lot of money to be made on the downside. So most people don't know how this happens. Like, how do you make money when the stock market goes down? How's that possible? Well, it's actually really easy now. And I will do, when the time comes, I will do a video that explains that in more detail. But you can be short the market. You can bet against the market. You can be long securities that are short the market. So there's several ways to play it. I will explain all that in the future. But if you are a trader, or if you want to learn how to play the market on the way down, there is going to be absolute fortunes made when the stock market crashes. And when I say crash, keep in mind, a 20% move is considered a crash. Well, right now we're almost at we're at 23,000. A 20% move, you know, would only be, what's that, 1/5? 1/5 would be, let's say, 4,000. We'd still be at 18, 19,000 in the Dow. So it's not like we got decimated here. But that kind of move is the kind of move that you can make a fortune with. And I plan on making a fortune with it, and I'll show you exactly how to do the same. So this is sort of the setup right now. Being prepared to short the market is something that you can, I just want you to have it in your mind. Have it be something that you're thinking about. Do a little research on it. I'll talk about it more in the future. But for now, what's hot right now is absolutely, without question, cryptocurrency market. I like Bitcoin, things that are attached to that. I don't necessarily like all these other fractional penny stocks that are attached to these random cryptocurrencies. I think those are the most dangerous ones. Maybe there's money to be made there too. I like ones that are tied more to Bitcoin because it's the most reliable and it's the one that is the biggest name and it's the one that the most people want to get behind. Just look at the chart. You can't argue with that. Clearly has momentum. But here's the thing. Let's go to the computer real quick, Jade. This is what I want you to avoid. We are mirroring the dot-com bubble right now with the whole cryptocurrency situation. And look at this. This is up to the beginning. So what happened, let's say, 2 years after the top of the dot-com bubble? That's what the next 2 years looks like. Do you see it? We went from here, 4,700, all the way down to 1,500. That, my friends, is massive wealth destruction. That's 70% to the downside. Now, if we look at the Bitcoin chart, we don't have that next 2 years to look at yet. But I think we all know what it's going to look like. Now, in the meantime, there's still more money to be here, in my opinion, and that's why I'm still in. But I think we have, at most, 9 to 12 months. So, I just wanted to, let me just check right here real quick before I sign off. Do we have any comments, Jade?
Nothing. I got one for you, though.
You got one?
Yeah.
Go for it.
What's a good, smart, maybe an amount to invest in?
An amount?
Yeah, for somebody, somebody new.
Somebody new investor. $1,000, you know? $1,000 is always like, if you're like, okay, hey, I don't have that much money saved, or like I'm young, I could lose $1,000 and I can make it back. Put $1,000 in. I'm going to give you a couple different stocks, securities that you can buy. That at least, the cryptocurrency thing to me is just, it's a little bit crazy. It's sort of like there's no regulations. Like, what if you do go buy your Bitcoins for $9,900, and then it goes down to 7,000? You're like, okay, I want to cash out, and then they're like, sorry, our system's down. We can't let you cash out right now. Like there's no, I don't know. I doubt that would happen, but I like the idea of securities because it's an open market. You can see what's going on. You can look at the volume. You can see how many people are buying these things. You can look at the momentum. You can see the charts. So I personally like the stocks and being able to utilize, the ones that are securitized. $1,000 is a good amount. I'm probably in for 10 grand or something at this point, which represents a small portion of my portfolio. But it's a good, what we call speculative investment figure, for me in my portfolio. So I think you just have to look at no more than 10% of your portfolio unless you're young and a really aggressive investor. Young and aggressive investors, I could say you could go higher than that. But as far as an amount, it's really hard to say what a good amount is. I know a lot of people are trying to hit the grand slam with this, so they really like the penny stocks. And I understand why, the penny stocks are really sexy for that reason, because you look at it and you go, oh, it's only 40 cents a share. Well, let's see. I can buy 40,000 shares, and you start to look at it and go, wow, I could really get a lot of shares here. And if this thing goes to $100 a share, I could have millions of dollars. That's usually the attitude of an investor who's going to get their ass handed to them. Typically, like that, if you think like that and you go and you invest enough times, eventually you will get your ass handed to you. So the best way to look at it is not to start calculating how much money you're going to make when it goes to $100, is to start looking at how much money you're willing to lose. So when you say what's a good amount, like what's a smart amount, whatever amount you're okay with completely losing all of, that's the amount. If you're completely okay with losing all of $500, then make it 500. If you would feel a sting by putting 1,000 into it, then I would say don't do 1,000, do 500 or do 700 or whatever. But I'll give you, if you have a smaller dollar figure, I have one that I really like that I think has some potential because of the name of the organization and because of what they're attempting to do. That's a penny stock that I will post in the comment thread, and Jade, I'll just give you the ticker and show you what's up with it. So there's opportunity there potentially. And these things could keep, they're going up every single day. So, you can't argue with that. It's hard to say, what, this is a bad thing. How could it be? I don't care if it's complete smoke and mirrors. It doesn't matter. That's the thing. As an investor, investing in things you don't understand is one thing, right? Most times they tell people, especially, if you're not, let's call it a savvy or accredited investor, don't invest in anything that you don't understand, right? But if you understand price action, if you understand momentum, that's all you need to understand. You don't need to understand anything else. If you understand momentum in security and momentum, the demand that is there for people who want to invest in Bitcoin, and then look at, there's so little securitized elements to actually invest in, so that supply is really low. These, currently existing securities are going to keep going higher. They're going to keep going higher. I'm telling you. Every day they go higher, and every day for a while they will continue to go higher. So it's just a matter of, making that correct decision about what the right amount is for you. And of course, paying attention to it. So this is not the kind of set it and forget it investment. This is the kind of thing you need to pay attention to. Now, I will come back on here and tell you when I have exited, my trades in the Bitcoin world. I will also tell you when I believe the market is setting itself up for a crash. Now, usually what that looks like, if you're a trader and you haven't experienced it or you haven't seen it, I've seen two in my trading life, and they both set up the exact same. Volume is really low, meaning the number of shares being traded is low, and the price is just kind of ticking higher, right? There's this last little bit of momentum. It's just ticking higher, higher, higher. Sorry if I'm drawing that off the screen.
No, you're good.
It's just ticking higher, higher, higher. But the volume's down. There's less and less people trading. And then all of a sudden, the bears come in and just start smashing that thing down and stealing your money. And that's what they're going to do. And frankly, if you're not paying close enough attention to this, I'm going to end up selling my Bitcoins to you. I'm just telling you, that's what's going to happen. I'm going to sell my shares to you, and then I'm going to take your money. Now, if you don't want that to happen, then you're going to have to pay attention, especially to what we have going on with regard to this particular situation. It's something where many millionaires have been made, and many more are still to be made. Just don't be greedy.
Jason Paulington has a great question.
Don't be greedy. Okay, what is it?
Great info, Derrick. What app website do you use to purchase crypto? I've been using Coinbase because they have a good app, but it's pricey.
I do not buy the cryptocurrencies directly, and I won't. I don't believe in it. Jason, I'm too old school, brother, for that. I'm an old man in regards to that. I need the security. And when I mean the security, I mean actual security, like on the stock exchange, even if it's on the pink sheets. I want something that has been securitized and legalized and has gone through a rigorous process to say, hey, this is this. I don't like buying the currencies directly, although I know you can. I know it can be done, and maybe I'm missing something there. I just don't like it because I don't understand it. I don't understand how it works, how that marketplace works, who's in charge of it, who's regulating it. What if one day all the money's gone? Poof, oh, these guys went bankrupt. Sorry. I know you were up 50 grand in your account, but they went bankrupt. Okay. So where's your money? I don't know. Do you have any recourse? Is there any legal precedent? Is there anyone who's regulating them? Is there any insurance? Is there anything? Now, when you buy a stock, they can always go to zero. But at least you can see what's going on. So I don't like the idea of buying a cryptocurrency on an app and then not even be able to see the price action. I mean, I can see what the current rate is and the exchange rates are, but I can't see what the action is. I can't see how many people are buying it. Whereas with the stocks, I can see that. I can see the volume. I can look at it and see what's the average volume per day for the stock or the security, and what is today's volume. And so if it's down a lot today and the volume is up a lot, I have to listen to that. If it's down a little today and the volume is light, I don't have to listen to that. If it's up slightly and the volume's light, I don't have to listen to that either. So I personally like the transparency involved with the securities, but I know you can make, people have made tons of money buying these cryptocurrencies directly. I know people who hold Bitcoins. I know people who bought Bitcoins in the hundreds of dollars and have hundreds of Bitcoins. These folks are rich now. They weren't before. And yeah, do we all feel like bozos? Like, gosh, this has been in the news for how long? How can we not be in this? It's that exact thought process that's going to cause people to buy at the top. So if you're going to do this right, use a small amount of money, use an amount of money that you're okay with getting rid of. We're going to ride this wave for probably another 9 to 12 months. And there's going to be a lot of money to be made. And I hope that you will partake in it with me instead of buying my shares from me. And then we'll be on opposite sides of the transaction. Anything else we should cover, Jay, do you think?
So you're telling people by now? Is that the?
I do. Yeah. I think it's.
You want to say that? I don't know if people can hear me.
Yeah. I do believe that you should be involved in it. I think that getting involved, it makes sense. Even though it's up so much and it's way up here, there's still lots of momentum here. When you look at the charts, there's different things that you can look at. There's still lots of momentum. That momentum hasn't even dissipated yet, much less turned the other way. So there's still money to be made. And the main reason I'm telling you to get in now and get in for little is because I don't want you to wait 9 months from now when you see, oh, Bitcoins were 9,000 last time I saw that guy on Facebook, and now they're at 20,000. This time next year, they're going to be at 40,000. Honey, let's put all of our retirement in. That's what I don't want to happen. So that's the reason why I'm coming out today telling invest today. If you're going to do it now. Do it for a small amount, and then hopefully let's ride the rest of this wave. And if I'm dead wrong and tomorrow this thing crashes and goes to zero, then hey, we all lost money together, I guess. There's no way that's going to happen based on what the charts look right now. We haven't seen dissipation in momentum. Now, things could change. North Korea, nuclear bomb, terrorist attack, blah, blah, blah. All those things can change everything in a heartbeat. But this is the most fragile thing that exists out there, and this is where so much money is going and so much attention is being paid. It's not even funny. When I say Bitcoin in a room full of people, and I'm going to test this on Wednesday, everyone's like, what? Are you invested? What are you buying? You get this? You got that? You got this? You got this crypto? That crypto? It's just like the .com. It's the exact same thing. Oh, do you own that one .com? Oh, do you own... They had car companies that were making websites and people were buying. They're like, do you have this one? Do you have that one? Oh, I got this one. I'm going to own the whole internet. I'm going to own the whole cryptocurrency market. You're going to get your ass handed to you. That's what's going to happen. So pay attention. Be smart. Send me a direct message if you have a question, and I'll do another segment on this. I'm going to post below the stuff that I'm invested in and just kind of give you an idea of what I'm looking at and what I like, because I've looked into this pretty extensively. And hopefully, if you do it right. Just do it right. Don't get your ass handed to you. That's the whole point of this thing. There's a lot of money to be made here, but don't be greedy. All right, I'm signing off.